Hello there, my name is Erin Williams, and today I will be discussing with you about the movie The Boy Next Door starring Jennifer Lopez. This movie premiered in 2015, which was a few years ago, but it was the first movie that came to my mind when I read about this assignment. This movie is a psychological and erotic thriller that involves a young, charming teenager, Noah, who moves next door to the newly separated high school English teacher, Claire. Flirting is done on the down low, and Claire thinks it's completely harmless considering how young he is and that he is now one of her new top students. But shortly after the flirting starts, Noah starts hanging around with Claire's younger son and encouraging bad behavior, which really irritates Claire but only draws her to him more. One drunk night, Claire gave in to the temptations and let Noah seduce her, only to find out that will be the biggest mistake that she will make. When she tries to end their little fling, Noah becomes violent, aggressive, and tries to coerce and blackmail Claire. When I was trying to think beyond the movie, what is the deeper meaning or how I can use this movie in comparisons to my course, my mind drifted only to psychology, obviously. The makeup of the human and why people are the way that they are. In this presentation, I will be discussing comparisons mainly found in chapters 8, 11, and 12 of our course, which are hormones and sex, emotion and aggression, and psychopathology. My main focus will be on why Noah is the way that he is and the possible solutions of how he got that way. The first comparison I would like to make is how attached Noah became to Claire upon meeting her. We briefly discussed attachment disorder and how it correlated to violence. A theory that I came up with was Noah was probably abused as a young child by an older woman or his mother himself, which makes him secure attachedly to people right away, especially older women. In this article, Annals of American Psychology Associations, Terry and Michael back up my theory. They state that the teenage boys who have experienced attachment difficulties early in life, adolescence, are 3 times more likely to commit violent crimes. Noah ends up threatening and beating up people in the movie, which only promotes the attachment disorder. He acts out of rage when Claire tries to separate herself from him. Terry and Michael also say that children with this disorder develop aggressive, controlling, and conduct disorder behaviors, which will lead me to my next comparison. Impulse control and conduct disorders were mentioned briefly in chapter 12. Throughout the movie, triggers would set Noah off that would send him on a rampage, out of control. He was unable to control his own impulses and would discard any other human feelings, rights, or just anything in that matter that was around him while he was on his rampage. While researching that, I came up with the name that he's obviously already labeled, which is a psychopath, which is another term we discuss in chapter 12. Considering Noah was a very handsome and charming young man, it was very hard for women, apparently of any age, to tell him no. Noah was ultimately the whole package, but not the package you're thinking of. He was a package of dynamite that would literally explode at any moment. Our book says that psychopaths have reduced activity in the prefrontal cortex, which is why it is so hard to control those impulses, which ultimately makes sense in my theory on Noah. So now that we have discussed a little history of what we think happened to Noah and gave him a label, let's dive a little bit deeper. Why is he so drawn to Claire? How did he fall in love so fast? How did he make Claire fear him so easily? And how, of all, has this happened before his 19th birthday? Okay, if the last part about his 19th birthday threw you off, let me explain. While I was researching about hormones and aggression, which in the beginning I thought drove Noah to do everything he did, I found an article called Hormones, Emotional Dispositions, and Aggressive Attributes in Young Adolescents. The author says that an adolescent who is reported acting out, having aggressive behaviors, and nasty characteristics, these are all linked to higher levels of, bear with me, androstenedione. I can't say these, I'm so sorry. Androstenedione. You could say it's how they were made, or because of how aggressive these kids are. They produce more and more testosterone than normal kids, which supports their behavior. Whichever the case may be, Noah was full of it, and the only reason why his behavior is that way, or one of the only reasons why his behavior is that way. Noah is a growing boy whose hormones are all out of whack. And of course, it didn't help that J-Lo is playing the part of Claire, which meant she was beautiful and irresistible to Noah. We discussed the theory about attachment disorder, but what if there's more? In an article, A Cultural Perspective on Romantic Love by Victor Karandyshev, he brings out the evolutionary perspective, which we talk about in our chapters. Victor says that the culture can affect and shape our way that we experience and feel about love. In today's culture, we are more drawn to less than anything. And I believe that's how Noah got hooked on Claire in the first place. Especially if he already knows how hot he is and he's never been told no. He has no reason to go after Claire, despite the age difference. Following the lust part, after Noah and Claire engage in their first sexual contact, which is a kiss, Noah is overtaken by a flood of emotions, which relates back to his hormones and his severe attachment disorder and many other things horribly wrong with him. In an article, Love is More Than Just a Kiss, a Neurobiological Perspective on Love and Affection, the author says that oxytocin, vasopressin, and dopamine are the ones to blame. They are the culprits because their receptors are the ones involved in pair bonding and monogamy. This also helps us back up our attachment theory once again and why Noah could have possibly fallen in love so quickly. At this point, you could say Noah has OCD when it comes to Claire. He's obviously thinking about her all the time, thinking about her and her family, how to keep them separated, and how to keep Claire all to himself. The last comparison I would like to make isn't so much about Noah, it's more about Claire and how Noah made her feel. Not only did she fall for him in a way, which if she did, it's possibly due to the depleted serotonin in her system because of being newly separated and finding that new young spark again, but she was also overwhelmed with fear. She didn't fear Noah until she slipped up that one drunk night. In the article, Neuroimaging Studies of Amygdala Functioning in Anxiety Disorders, the author shares with us a little of which we already know from our chapters. The amygdala plays a role in fear conditioning, which is a role played in anxiety disorders. Claire became fear conditioned of Noah. Anytime he was around her, her guard was up and she tried so hard to give him everything that he wanted in hopes he would stop coercing her, stop blackmailing her, and stop threatening her and her family. And if you're wondering why he did that, it's because whenever they did have that drunk night, he videotaped her, so that's what the blackmail is. He has the video of them. And remind you, she is a teacher and he is a student, so she could lose her license. So like I said, she had her guard up. She tried so hard to give him what he wanted in hopes he would go away. But you'll have to watch the movie to find out if Noah stays and starts a family with Claire or she finally gets rid of him. To wrap up this presentation, I just wanted to state the 10 comparisons I made so we're all on the same page. We discussed psychopaths, attachment disorder, impulse control, conduct disorder, OCD, testosterone, aggression, the amygdala, serotonin, evolutionary perspective, oxytocin, and hormones. I could be completely wrong when it comes down to trying to figure out Noah, and I could be completely right. But the point is, from this course, I'm able to pick out and identify why people act the way that they do and what is possibly going on in the brain that correlates to their behavior. Thank you for watching, and I hope that I inspired you to go watch The Boy Next Door if you haven't already watched it. Thank you.